Man, it's not easy to be me, out here respecting women to the absolute utmost and still getting canceled every once in a while for making an absolutely based video criticizing terrible writing. That's right, welcome today to the second ever iteration of how to not write female characters. I am going to be talking about 4 female characters today. 2 that are extremely well written and should be respected for how well written they are, and 2 that are so bad. Whoever created them should be ashamed of themselves, and honestly, they are a caricature of women. Man, am I excited for this one. I'm going to get in so much trouble, and it is going to be so much fun. I am going to be talking about Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter in this video, and I already know that the mobs are going to be coming for my throat when I'm actually getting there. This is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, baby! Definitely subscribe and leave a like, because 10,000 likes, and I will be doing How to Not Write Female Characters Part 3 to get canceled again, because that's the type of videos I like to make. Videos that I enjoy, that other people like, and that some people hate. First female character I wanted to talk about. First woman, Jinx from Arcane. I want to talk about the psycho archetype, because we all know there are a lot of crazy women. I mean, there are a lot of insane characters that happen to be women. Not based on anything in reality, of course, because women are by far the most sane of humanity. I'm gonna get in so much trouble just by making these jokes. Jinx is a fantastically written character. If you haven't seen Arcane yet, there is something wrong with you. You should absolutely watch it. She is a character that is completely messed up in the head, and we actually understand why. We actually walk down this path with her every step of the way, and we see her descent into madness slowly but surely, mistake after mistake, gruesome detail after gruesome detail, and we understand the headspace that she finds herself in. Let me give you some rundown here, and if you haven't watched Arcane yet, honestly, it's your own fault for getting spoiled. You absolutely should have already watched Arcane. It's like one of the greatest animated series in history. It makes that corridor AI anime look like toilet paper, god damn it. Jinx is a character that starts off as a child who's grown up in a war-torn, ravished, and savaged area of the world. A place that is considered less by every single other person out there. The Undercity, as it's called, is basically a place for second-class citizens where no one respects them. It's riddled with disease, riddled with poverty, and the Overcity does not care. Does not care that their suffering is also squashing them down to prevent any form of riots, and also isn't willing to give them their own autonomy of their own country because they would rather have control over them. What a lovely take on the extremes of capitalism. Ah, Arcane is just so perfect. Powder grew up in this place, and obviously had a really hard time. She had one person that loved her. She watched her own parents murdered in front of her eyes, and she's eventually adopted by Vander, an absolute Giga Chad mad lad. Now, Vander is a lot like me in many ways. He's out there trying to seek the peace, and so am I. That's why I make videos like this. And unfortunately, also like me, Vander gets a lot of hate from both sides. Obviously, he gets hate from the Overcity because he is an Undercity scallywag, and he gets hate from the Undercity because they don't want someone to keep the peace. They want an extremist. They want someone to fight for them. They want someone that'll always push back against the oppressors, even though he knows that that will cause so much death and destruction. Stuff happens. His kids get unruly. They start a whole fight down there. Things are going wrong, going wild. Powder is asked to leave because her inventions always fail, her little gadgets always screw up, and she's a child, but she wants to be a part of it anyway. While this whole crazy fight is going down, she rigs one of her machines to carry this little bomb thing to detonate at some point and save the day. It doesn't really go so well. The bomb thing, in a way, helped, but also murdered 2 of her adopted brothers. It caused so much death and destruction that she didn't expect. It sent a shiver down her spine. She wanted to be useful, and ultimately, she was a jinx to all the people around her. What happens after she does this, and her sister sees her there, despite being asked not to join?
I told you to stay away! No! Why did you leave me? Because you're a jinx!
She said this in a fit of anger. Her 2 adopted siblings just died in front of her. She just watched Vander, her father figure, fall before her as well. From Powder's perspective, though, her whole family turned on her when she was just trying to help, and she eventually gets recruited by the dark side of the Force, the extremists of the Undercity that try to get her on their side. And I'm gonna make an entire video about Arcane soon because goddamn, this show is just so damn good. I've seen it so many times. It's like an actual masterpiece. This is the first little third of the first season of Arcane. You have this character, Powder, who starts off as a child in a really, really rough situation, whose self-worth is basically based on Vander, her father, who she causes his demise, and her sister, Vi, who turns her back on her when she's trying to help. She ends up absorbing this and becoming the thing that people labeled her as so many people do. If you look online, you look at people that you're watching, so many of them become radicalized by the people around them. You have someone make some slightly racist joke or whatever that they didn't necessarily mean anything by, and then Twitter starts blasting them and attacking them for it, and then they'll just lean into it and be like, you know what, I am the villain. And it's the same kind of idea with Powder leaning into it and becoming a Jinx. She changes her name to Jinx as she joins up with Silco, this bad dude, and as the story progresses, you could see her mind break. You could see how she's transformed from this innocent girl to someone who's working for the ultimate bad guys here, despite the fact that they have some sort of just motive. She doesn't even care about the just motive. She is completely enraptured with this guy Silco, who's now her new father figure, despite him being the dude that caused the demise of her previous father figure. You see her get from point A to point B so well. It's written so well every step of the way. Vi is also a fantastic female character and probably going to have her own entry on this series of how to not write a female character if the series goes long enough without me getting canceled in between. That would be dope. But I wanted to focus on Powder because I wanted to focus on this psychotic archetype of character. She goes crazy. She goes absolute bananas. She just has like a little mental freak out and murders somebody, half on accident, half on purpose, and then feels so bad that she murders that person that she proceeds to murder other people. I don't want to spoil the actual end of the show. Everything I told you was basically the first 3 episodes of the story. I know that I said like this whole spiel about, if you didn't see Arcane, I don't care, I'm gonna tell you anyway. Yeah, well, I lied. I want you to watch this show really badly. Go now, do it. I'm not gonna ruin the rest of it. This is 3 episodes of character development, and it's basically on a side character, because Powder is not the most important character in those 3 episodes. You have no idea how fantastic the story is. So anyway, she becomes the psychotic simp of Silco for a little bit, flip-flops to both sides. She doesn't know what she's doing. Her head's splitting apart. She has her sister on one side, Silco on the other side. She doesn't know what's right, and she makes a lot of mistakes on the way. That is a psychotic character done right. She's a nutcase, and she is one of the best written characters I've ever seen. Next woman, Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. Man, I didn't think I'd mention Harry Potter more than once in this video. Oopsies. I'm just a glutton for punishment, aren't I? So I'm gonna put Bellatrix as a psycho character done in the done wrong category. And I'm surprised. Normally, when I read a book or watch a show, I don't know much about the author, okay? But thanks to Twitter, I know a thing or two about J.K. Rowling. She loves women's rights. She is like the most pro-women's rights of all time. She's transphobic to the point that she wants women that aren't trans women to get more rights. That's the person that J.K. Rowling is. I'm surprised that Bellatrix Lestrange is as shallow of a character as she is. I've read the books, okay? She's a psycho for the sake of just being a psycho. When you get into her story, their basic writing is, well, she was always crazy and she became this nutso simp for Voldemort. She's just out there torturing people whenever she can, murdering people whenever she can. Like, she makes the Malfoys look like the type of generous, kind, and thoughtful people that would be like, imagine influencers that donate money to charity, but don't publicize that they're donating money to charity. Every time she's introduced in the story, she's evil. She's introduced in Azkaban as some evil, nutso, crazy witch lady. Everyone she fights, she's done these evil giggles and cackles and giggles and evil laughs. You get her backstory a little bit, and it's like, oh, what's her backstory? Oh, yeah, she was always a twisted, nutso psychopath that simped for Voldemort. Why? Who cares? She's crazy and evil. I feel like it would have been really nice to understand either how she got to this crazy evil idea, or if, you know, there were actual repercussions to her being crazy and evil. But no, there were none of those things. It's like, in order to paint the picture of like the psycho woman style character, and I had a whole list of psycho women that I was picking through for making this video. Okay, that sounds really wrong. I like went down the freaking rabbit hole, okay? I was looking at Esdeath from Akame ga Kill. I was looking at Yuno Gasai from Future Diary. Like, I have a whole list of psycho women that I was thinking of putting on this video, and then it just hit me. The psycho women archetype thing, you know, the Harley Quinn style wackos that somehow are always simps. Have you noticed that all the psycho women are simps? But then it hit me why Bellatrix Lestrange really just freaking sticks out as a monumentally annoying, poorly written character. Bellatrix Lestrange is one note because when you're writing a psycho, you have to sort of have some sort of battle, some sort of inner turmoil, some sort of inner strife that make you really wonder why they tick. And it was really when I started going through my list of psycho women that I realized there is nothing there beneath the surface for Bellatrix Lestrange. JK wanted to create like this archetype, this evil psycho bitch archetype, and was like, well, let's just make her the epitome of evil, and that's it. I feel like there's so much more nuance with the well-written psychopath female characters. Compared to Jinx or Harley Quinn, you have some actual complex characters with complex mindsets that, yes, they do abhorrent and horrible things every once in a while, but you could sort of understand how their mind broke or what's going on in their head somewhat to kind of keep going. With Bellatrix, it's like she almost gets some sort of sexual gratification for being cruel, and the reason why she simps for Voldemort is because he's just better at being cruel than she is, and that cruelness is her entire entity. I'm just saying that if you want to write a psycho female character, don't just be like, and she's cruel and evil and likes cruelty and evilness. Yeah, we're gonna leave the poorly written progressive character coming next. Oh god, you're not ready. Next, women. All right, so we talked about psychos a minute ago. Now I want to talk about female characters trying to unravel some sort of mystery. The inquisitive female character. I am very happy to talk about this one because I really like one of the characters and really hate the other one. First one I want to be talking about is Izumi Curtis, or Teacher from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Full Metal Alchemist.
This one is actually a recommendation from the comment section on my last How to Not Write a Female Character, so let me know other female characters. This is one of the best female characters on my list of female characters. Izumi Curtis is a character that made a dreadful mistake. She dabbled with taboo. Among the alchemists in this series, there is one rule.
In accordance with this law, there is a taboo among alchemists. Human transmutation is strictly forbidden. For what could equal the value of a human soul?
I am so happy and eager to talk about Izumi Curtis. This is a character that, in my opinion, is just fantastically written. She is a character that when people ask her who she is, what she does, she says, I'm a housewife, okay?
Just what the hell are you?
You asked what I am.
And she's not embarrassed about it at all. Why? She can kick your absolute booty. She's one of the most terrifying characters in the entire Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood series. Every time I think of her, I think of the massive hand coming out of the wall, punching Sloth, who, by the way, is the super fast, super strong, immortal creature. Punches Sloth, Sloth goes flying, a little door opens in the giant hand and steps descend, and then she just walks out in like a lab coat and flip-flops, being like, what's all this commotion? She is absolutely terrifying. She tormented the Briggs soldiers. This is a fortress, okay? All the way in the north, where the soldiers are the absolute peak badasses, all right? Nothing gets past them, except for one lady and her flip-flops. Standing out there up north, she killed a bear with her bare hands. She steals ration from the most secure security base in the country, and then she leaves a month later. This was just like a little exercise for her. She is the ultimate badass character. She's dabbled with all forms of alchemy at their highest level. She is the mentor character of the main characters, Edward and Elric. She is everything that a badass needs to be. She kicks absolute booty. She is stronger than pretty much every other good guy in the show. It's like, you look at all these good guy characters, I don't know if any of them are stronger than her. She's like what? She's incredible. There's a reason why she's on this list. And it's not to talk about how badass she is. It's the fact that she's a female character that's a woman, and she's understandably a woman. She's unabashedly a woman. She miscarries her child, and she feels terrible about it, so she dabbles with things that she shouldn't have. She uses human transmutation to try to bring her baby back to life, and she fails. And due to everyone who fails this human transmutation, it takes something in return. For the main character, Ed, it took his leg. For Alphonse, it took his body. For their teacher, it took her internal organs. A lot of them. She is sick for so much of the story. She's just coughing up blood everywhere. She is not well. Despite all this, she's the strongest character. And despite all this, she is a woman that lost her baby and would do anything to try to bring her baby back to life. They're not trying to say, oh, this is a badass female character. Now, how badass female? Well, then she has to, completely avoid every possible female stereotype. But she doesn't. She describes herself as a housewife with pride. She's a character that's at the peak badass level of the world, but she doesn't have to always prove that she's wearing the pants in the family by, insulting her husband and stuff. She loves and reveres her husband. She's way more powerful than him, but she still talks about him with so much respect. I feel like the archetype of the badass woman character also becomes the archetype of a character that doesn't want to be recognized to have any female traits or stereotypes that society imposes upon them. They don't need no man. They don't need a husband. They don't respect males. Now, I have nothing against that archetype for character, but I really appreciate the fact that they could write a woman character that's also one of the most powerful, badass, terrifying characters in the story, that's just such a great person, and also doesn't shy away from any of the, I guess, female quote-unquote stereotypes, but on the contrary, she shows so much more respect to women by showing how these stereotypes make her a stronger person. And I also love that I have seen people talking about Izumi Curtis from FMA being like, no, why did she call herself a housewife? This is so sexist. You know it was written by a woman, right? You know FMA was written by a woman, okay? Shut your goddamn mouth. Straight up, one of the greatest stories ever told. And Izumi Curtis is one of the most badass female characters, or just characters. She's just one of the most badass characters of all time. And she doesn't stray away or run away from being a woman or being womanly. On the contrary, equating being womanly as weakness, that is inherently sexist. Oh goody, I wonder if that's a segue or anything to talk about the final character on this list. Another character that's trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe. Next. Women. That's right, we're talking about danger-prone Daphne from Velma. If I had to sit through watching the entire Velma series on stream with you idiots, because you keep leaving likes on these videos, I am gonna actually talk about the characters. That's right, I did a little mini Velma analysis on my last How to Not Write a Female Character. I'm doing a little Daphne one on this one. You could just bet your booty Fred's getting his own video. Daphne is a character that is so wrong in all the ways I just described of how right Izumi Curtis is. Based on her brilliant intellect, they've discovered that, well, you see, the serial killer that's going around killing women, it's only doing that because women are vulnerable. So they make a tournament where Daphne comes out the undisputed victor. You ready for this? A tournament to see which woman is the least vulnerable. You see, Daphne is out here trying to fight the good fight for women, proving that she's the least vulnerable character among the women. She's still vulnerable because she's a woman, but she's the least vulnerable. Okay, you see what I'm saying here? Is that cute? Which is ironic because her whole danger-prone Daphne persona just makes her do stupid things. It's like so often this show is trying to tell you, yes, women are vulnerable in society. And then she goes ahead and walks into like abandoned mine shafts and she steals drugs. It's like, oh yes, women are vulnerable in society. Bro, she wouldn't be vulnerable if she just did normal things and didn't commit crimes and hang out with criminals and do all these crazy shenanigans. If she wasn't quote-unquote danger-prone and always putting herself in danger, she wouldn't be as vulnerable. That doesn't fit the narrative quite as well, though. We're gonna call her danger prone because she always gets in danger. That's just haha lol kooky gimmick of her. She was dating Fred because Fred is like the rich guy who they all thought was like a Giga Chad or something, so she was dating Fred, okay? But she don't need no man. She only dated Fred for the status. She doesn't actually need a man, bro, which is why she kisses Velma and becomes a lesbian and then is like, but how could I be a lesbian if I liked men before? Bisexual is not a word that shows up in this story, even though you have several female characters that are attracted to men that switch to be attracted to women but are still attracted to men, and they're like, but am I straight or am I gay? Oh my god. I don't even want to get into that or down that rabbit hole. But the fact that Daphne is playing a character, an I don't need no man character, is constantly begging Velma for her help the entire story. You don't need a man but you need a woman. Is that the lesson here? The whole time you're trying to explain how you're a character that can accomplish things, right? You don't need a dude to help you accomplish things. You need a woman so you can accomplish things after all. That was the lesson here. And she proceeds to make horrible mistake after horrible mistake, doing stupid things every freaking step of the way. Oh, I'm gonna figure out what happened, so I'm just gonna join up with a band of criminals and maybe that'll help. It tries to make this idea that you could forge your own path, you could become your own person, you shouldn't do what society expects of you. Except that's literally the opposite of what actually happens to her. She realizes her parents are criminals. She's a criminal. There's nothing she could have done about that. She ends up becoming a criminal, having nothing to do with knowing that her parents were criminals. She was a criminal before her parents even revealed themselves to her, before she even knew that they were criminals. So no, turns out you can't make your own decisions and be badass. You're just freaking product of what society creates of you, whether it's your parents, whether it's your moms, whether it's your freaking patriarchy that's forcing you to conform and whatever. It doesn't matter. She breaks every possible and potential way that she could become her own person. The whole story is just, it makes me convulse. I feel like I'm so close to a seizure almost every single time I watch one of these episodes. Every time they try to set up some sort of narrative structure or meta commentary on society, they end up breaking their own rules with the actions taken by the poorly ass written characters. Izumi Curtis from Vtube is never ashamed of being a woman and never saying that women are less or deemed as less or any of that. She proves that she doesn't need no help. She proves that she's a badass with freaking actions, not with words. Daphne, with words, comes along with all these incredibly highly progressive mantras, but then proceeds to freaking make mistakes herself and need help with everyone. She doesn't do anything even remotely badass, except for make terrible mistakes throughout the entire story and prove that she can't actually do anything herself. I lose it every time I try to actually figure out what this show is trying to tell me. I feel like at the end of the day, it's not trying to tell me anything. I almost wonder if the jarring ideas between the progressivism and also the absolute opposite of that when it comes to actually talking about what goes on in the show, I wonder if it's intentional, if that's supposed to be some sort of comedy, but maybe that's just me trying to see it for better than it is. Maybe I should just admit to myself that it's absolute trash and I wasted hours of my life watching it because of you idiots on the other side of the screen smashing likes on the videos. And now I'm making this video here where I'm obviously gonna get canceled by either the Harry Potter fanatics, the fans that hate that I said Bellatrix is a one-note character, or the haters that say, how dare I even mention Harry Potter? I might give an extra penny or two to billionaire J.K. Rowling. Or just the idea that I'm analyzing female characters also. As a male with an incredibly white VTuber model, I am incredibly, I'm incredibly close to just getting blasted by everyone. So with that I say, come at me, Twitter. I have found a way to defeat you. I just don't look at the app. That's it for me. Have yourself a most wonderful evening. I really appreciate you guys. 10,000 likes and I'll talk about how to not write a female character. Part 3. Rolling out a lot of these. Give Twitter a lot of ammo so one day they can really come for my throat. Looking forward to that day. It'll be fun. Stay weird, fam.